Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Charlie State and Naga Munchetty.
Our headlines today. Good morning. It's Friday the 18th of June. Our top story today. The Conservatives have suffered a crushing defeat in the Chesham and Amersham by-election, which the Liberal Democrats have won with a majority of more than 8,000.
The contest in...
From today, anyone who's 18 or over in England can book a coronavirus vaccine in what's been described by the government as the final push to protect the country.
The NHS is expecting demand to be high and is sending out around 1.5 million texts inviting people to book their jab. Catherine Da Costa has more. Have apologised for failing rape victims. It follows a fall in prosecutions and convictions in England and Wales in recent years.
They have proposed a series of measures aimed at improving those figures and ensuring that investigations focus more on suspects than victims. Our Home Affairs correspondent, June Kelly, has this report.
Now, England and Scotland will meet at a major football tournament for the first time in 25 years this evening.
Yes, it's the Euro 2020 game and it's one of the most anticipated of the championship so far. Will be played in front of a reduced crowd at Wembley Stadium this evening. Ray Barton has this report. Work, look, they're away now.
Lovely to remember for her family 1 year on, marking the anniversary of her passing, Dame Vera Lynn.
Time now to get the news, travel and the weather where you are.
Hello, you're watching Breakfast with Charlie State and Naga Munchetty.
Let's see what's coming up on the programme this morning. So, with a view to what's happening this evening, a lot of coverage this morning. I'm looking over here to see Mike inside Wembley Stadium. Look at that. Morning to you, Mike. What a day it's going to be. What a night it's going to be.
Morning. Oh, nearly just thought we'd see a goal there. Didn't quite. It was the way that John masterfully, and honestly, you weren't going to say no.
Yeah,
6 in line.
Oh.
I thought I felt like getting up and standing somewhere when John said that. Going to stick with the teacher theme, I think. We're talking about maths. Are schools teaching our children the right lessons?
Yes, Ben, you better explain. This is about employers asking questions. Expected time now is 6:49. Let's go back to one of our top stories now. The Conservatives have suffered a surprise by-election defeat, losing the previously safe seat of Chesham and Amersham for the first time.
The Liberal Democrat candidate, Sarah Green, emerged with a majority of more than 8,000 in the vote, which was held following the death of the former MP, Dame Cheryl Gillan.
Well, we can speak to the leader of the Liberal. Thank you very much. If you're one of those people who's suffering at the moment, you know, you have our sympathies because, as we heard from Natalie, it can kind of stop your life. It can stop your normal life at this time of year and tricky to get
It makes
help,
you feel... I suffer
help.
from hay fever and have done since I was a teenager, and it makes you feel miserable on a day when it's really, really bad. And
Yeah.
if you don't have it, it's a really difficult thing to kind of imagine, but it slows you down, you feel heady, you can't focus and you're itching, constant itching of the eyes. I sympathise with you.
And it's one of those things, Matt, I know you're listening in there, it's something you routinely sort of add into your weather forecast now. Maybe years ago you just didn't do that, but it's something you always look at, isn't it?
And it switches around, doesn't it? Because yesterday it was very high down in the south, wasn't it? And now it's switched up to the Midlands and the northwest.
At 3 o'clock this morning, I'm very impressed that you're holding it together at all.
Yeah, but I mean, we go to bed as early as we can now.
The Democratic Unionist Party is looking for a new leader after Edwin Poots stepped down just after 3 weeks in charge. Let's get more on this now from our correspondent, Dan Johnson.
We'll watch that game with interest to see what happens to the early result, England-Scotland. That's the early result, England-Scotland. I think it was 1-0 England, as we were watching earlier on, I think John said. Listening and all that stuff is one of the best-selling music artists of all time. That's the music intro, but probably more important today, Sir Rod Stewart. Well, OK, we're going down a different path than I was expecting, but there we go. Now, let me ask you, Rod, tonight. This is official, OK? Just let's make it a...
Paint the picture for me. How are you going to be, you know, set the scene for when you're watching this evening? 8 o'clock this evening, the Bills. Fans have any choices to which home nation team they'd support?
No,
Really because of the result, but because of, I don't know,
of course
family.
it's the result.
It's about families being together, watching something like this and coming together.
Yeah,
in Stewart Towers this morning. But my director was getting a bit worried earlier on because you kept standing up and sitting down. I don't know quite what's going on there, but I couldn't work out. I can see the jacket, the police duties, because I know it's got quite a bit of publicity, but it's a real thing. It's just happening. It's routine in your household, isn't it? She goes out to do the work.
yeah, she does. She goes every Thursday night. She leaves at
Tonight, can you? Naga was asking that paint us a picture thing of a normal Rod Stewart watching the TV, like a domestic Rod Stewart watching football situation. What's that like? Do you have like a big armchair, a sofa, or
Yeah,
do you get? Are you a bit sort of stroppy whilst watching? Are you lecturing the players? Are you getting technical? What do you like?
Yeah, throwing things at the television. Well,
I know they all know you're a massive fan. Do you have any direct contact with them? You know, messaging or anything like that?
no, I send messages through.
Can I just ask, Rod? You know, I always love. It doesn't matter what sport, and I'm one of those people who comes to football for big occasions. Okay, and I love that moment when the teams line up, and you see and hear those national anthems. Do you sometimes know, as a massive fan, do you feel it now? Do you sometimes look at the team and kind of know that it's your night? Do you sometimes just almost get a feeling?
Oh, Charlie,
Well, maybe we catch up again, eh? Maybe we do that. If everything goes to plan, how about that?
Yeah, that's it. You won't have a sore head tomorrow at all. I promise.
No, I won't. I promise I'll behave.
It has been an absolute joy talking to you this morning. A real
Thanks,
treat.
guys.
Take care.
Bless
Enjoy
you.
it. Bye.
Yeah, take care.
There is a man who's looking forward to a big game.
Such a lovely man. They have lost, obviously, you've lost Dame Vera Lynn.